Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Fawaz Amudi. I am an Arabic student and I also teach Arabic grammar. So, in this video, I wanted to discuss a very important topic that is about Google Translation. So, if you are an Arabic student or not a student, you're just a normal person, can you rely on Google Translation when translating an Arabic text into English? Can you trust it? Is it accurate? And when should you use it and when should you not? And before we begin, I want to be very clear that this is absolutely my personal experience. So it can differ with your opinion, and yes, I can be wrong here and there. I am saying this because even before making this video, I basically got few warnings from few brothers who basically told me that I should do some thorough or extensive or detailed study on this subject before I make this video. So this is basically what I observed, and I use Google Translation a lot. So I have a very good idea about it, at least for myself. Okay. So before we go to the topic, we have to divide Arabic language into three categories. First is Classical Arabic, and in the Classical Arabic, I am also including modern Islamic text written by scholars. So in case if you're asking why am I including modern Islamic text in classical Islamic text, then the answer is this is my classification. So I can basically do anything with it. Okay. So classical Arabic text, then comes the modern standard Arabic, then comes the colloquial Arabic. I think I'm pronouncing the word colloquial correct, or you can say local spoken Arabic. Okay, which is basically which is basically different in case of different countries and even different cities. Okay, so in this video we are not that much concerned about colloquial Arabic. Okay, our main concern is about classical Arabic and modern standard Arabic. So the thing is, both classical Arabic and the modern standard Arabic basically have the same grammar, but there are few differences, especially in case of modern standard Arabic, where it doesn't require many of the grammatical parts or even you can say linguistic parts of the classical Arabic. Classical Arabic is a bit complex. I think I'm using the word complex in a right context. If I don't, then please pardon my English. Even though modern standard Arabic is still 100% proper Arabic and 100% grammatically accurate, unlike colloquial Arabic, which basically, okay, I will not say it. So in case of classical Arabic, from what I observed, Google Translation will mostly fail, especially if it is religious text. And please don't ever try to put a classical Arabic poetry in Google Translation. Okay, please, I mean, don't even try it. Okay, you should not even think about it. I mean, some things are better left off. Okay, and it will also fail in modern religious text like tafasir or usul al hadith, usul al fiqh, etc. Because a word can have a different meaning in classical Arabic and it can have a totally different meaning in modern standard Arabic. And many of the words in classical Arabic can mean different things in different subjects, because a word can mean something in fiqh, usul al fiqh, and it can mean something totally different in usul al hadith, and it can mean something else in usul al tafsir. Okay, and it can mean something else in aqidah, because many of the words are basically what you say istilahat, or you can say technical terms in English, and they don't necessarily imply their original meanings. Okay, so in this case Google Translation at present will mostly fail, and again this is from my personal observation. Okay, so I can be wrong here and there, but when it comes to modern standard Arabic that is used in newspapers or media in general, school books, college books, novels, storybooks, magazines, or the language used by governments, or which acts as a common dialect between different Arab countries, then in that case Google Translation, from what I observed, will be mostly accurate. You can say 90% of the times, or even more if you want to say it. But sometimes it can also fail, especially in case of verbs. Like, let's say that, for example, there is someone who wrote about himself in Arabic that he's from this country, now he's presently living in that country, he lives with his parents or anything, he's married or unmarried. Okay, and then that person adds full stop. And then let's say that person says, I studied in this university or that university. Then he writes the word, for example, darastu. Okay, so there is a chance that Google might take the word darastu as darasat, which means she studied. Darastu means I studied, Darasat means she studied. Okay, so there's a chance there. So if you know a little bit of Arabic grammar, especially sarf, then you will be able to notice it. Okay, so in that case, what you can do is you can add ana before it, ana darastu, then it will correct its translation. Or even if you vocalize the final letter, that is ta, and you write dhamma on it, then it will again correct the translation if it fails. Okay, and sometimes it can also fail in case of mujarrad and mazid fihi verbs. Okay, especially in case of past tense, it can confuse a verb that comes from bab tafil with a verb that comes from the mujarrad bab. Okay, so in this case, what you can do is you can basically go to the ayn kalima of the verb, and you basically have to write shadda. If it is from bab tafil, then it will change the translation if it fails. Okay, and in case of mudariya, then again it can confuse it with number of different verb patterns. So but if you know a little bit of Arabic's grammar or surf, then you might easily be able to notice it, and you can add the vowel signs if you have Arabic keyboard in your computer, then it will correct it. But again, mostly it is accurate, especially in case of Arabic news, okay, or Arabic storybooks, etc. But if you want to rely on it, or you want to know how to properly use it, then you have to know some of the basic Arabic grammar. Then inshallah you will be able to use it smoothly. And again, Google is getting better at its translation day by day, and it is developing at a fast speed, you can say. So overall, with regards to the Arabic news or media in general, or books of school, colleges, or novels, storybooks, magazines, then it is quite accurate. And if it does a mistake here and there, and you know the basics, then you can easily be able to figure it out. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. And again, before I end this video, and this was basically from what I observed. Okay, so inshallah, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe it. Inshallah, in future I will be creating more Arabic learning videos. So assalamu alaikum.